7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reading of the call.
Dear Supervisors, please be advised that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors will meet at 7 p.m. on December 16th, 2024 in the County Boardroom. All County Board members' claims are due in the County Clerk's office by noon on December 6th, 2024, so they can be prepared for Audit Committee approval. Sincerely, Paul Severson, County Clerk.
Roll call.
Is that? He's next. Bridget Turner.
Here.
Stacy Klein.
Here.
Richard Sasha.
Here.
Lori Severson.
Here.
Andy Todd.
Here.
Richard Anderson.
Here.
Kevin Adams.
Here.
Dick Miller.
Here.
Kevin Whalen.
Here.
John Austin.
Here.
Dawn Waldera.
Is that here?
Robert Becker.
Here.
Renee Lyon.
Here.
Kellen Nelson.
Here.
David Larson.
Here.
Jeannie Nutter.
Barely here, but I'm here.
Ron Johnson.
Here.
16 and 1.
Hey.
This is your last meeting.
Did you get some treats?
I don't want to celebrate.
Lori
I'm
brought
sorry.
some. Lori brought some too. So
Okay. Open meeting law requires to be met with proper posting and notification.
many times.
We have an 11-item agenda on the amended agenda. 11 items. Looking for approval.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Second. Motion by Turner, seconded by Nutter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Minutes from the November session. Motion by
Second.
Sheriff Anderson, or prior Sheriff Anderson,
Richard Anderson and
and seconded by Supervisor Becker. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Appearances, Chippewa Valley Cooperative. Are they here tonight? No. I don't see them here tonight. Not at all.
they were, last time they were here and one of their people were missing, so they said they were coming the next month.
I don't know.
Carl Green, yeah. Well,
Okay,
Susan, you said maybe we should put them off till January.
all right, we'll put them off till January. Administrative report.
Yeah, so I guess we'll get started here with just a couple of, one thing I wanted to share that had shared with the Exec Finance Committee was to talk about just a little bit of how we have reviewed our insurance companies that we're working with, and taking a look overall on the value that we receive and looking to possibly make some savings in that in the future. So the fortunate part about having a business person and working closely with the admin office, as Amy Bergeson has been doing, is being able to take a look at these things across the board. And so I just want to thank her, and she's been able to work with our insurance companies and has gotten bids from them. And so my hope is to work with Wisconsin Counties Mutual. I think it's really important to support them and be a part of that whole piece because they support us in all of their lobbying efforts. And so we took that, Amy took that to them as well as our current insurers, and we will make a change coming up in next year. We'll reevaluate this again, but at this moment, we're looking at a $30,000 savings by doing that and bringing everything together. So I think that'll be a good move, and so we're just going to keep on top of that and look to do that as a part of this conversation with the insurance piece. Again, just want to give a shout out to Amy. She took the initiative to start asking questions about what we were insuring as she's looking at policies, and went through and reviewed and found that we were paying insurance on vehicles that we no longer owned from 2018. So doing a very long, exhaustive piece from her, just a lot of really great work. We were able to save $98,000 on that change. So I just think, again, it shows the value of this business office that we move to in the future, and how we're communicating and working together across our financial groups. Also, I want to, just as a quick thank you, you saw the tree in the lobby. It's just, we had several people that came forward to ask about this and started the initiative. And when I mentioned it in the office, again, individuals that step up, we had Amy go and speak with her husband. So Ryan and Amy Ferguson donated that Christmas tree to the county. So want to thank them, and just that it's a beautiful, beautiful tree. And I think if you're available, Kara had sent out information. She had actually had a great idea and scheduled the 4K program from the White House School District coming over tomorrow to do carols, and they're going to be bringing ornaments over to place on the tree. So if anybody's able to attend, it's at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'd love to have you here. Yeah, it's a great way to bring in the holiday spirit here. So just want to thank everybody for all their efforts here. So that's kind of course, I'll give you my email update as I go along on filling you in on many of the other things I've been working on. But I'll move into this 2025 bond presentation here as we go into the resolution then. The last meeting then where this was discussed was at Exec Finance this month. And at that meeting, I brought forward the full proposal. And it was really brought forward, and I listened to the comments from that committee and saying, they really would like to see us at 6.5 million borrowing, and what would that look like? And so I did put that together and made a couple of changes. I'm going to pass that out to you. And I'm going to just give this to you, kind of my spiel on this one more time.
It was in the packet.
Oh, it was?
Yep.
Okay, you had it in the packet if you want a copy, if you can, otherwise.
Yep.
There's been a lot of, there's been a lot of different copies out there, so I just wanted you to have this most recent one.
Mine disappeared too. No, I had one in here. Just the back. I think it went next door. Because this is all his stuff.
So in evaluating in the questions that were brought forward over this process was looking at, could we do the 3, a 5, a 10-year bonding instead of 20? And we found out that just because of the project that was taken on at the having the Justice Center, it's just really too much, and it's going to be too big an impact on the taxpayer here. So that's why it's recommended to spread it out. And when we were talking with Brian from Ellers, he did recommend as well. Again, if you remember, if you're going to get into some of the lower end numbers of borrowing, it's going to back future boards into a corner eventually, and you're going to be stuck. And so this is a low interest way to take care of projects that you still have that are out there. So when you look at this proposal, it was brought forward that Dave Larson had spoken with Neil at the highway and talking about could they get by with a reduction to the 5 million, so that has stayed there. In the building renovations, you can see I dropped that to 500,000, and that is the reduction then that you're seeing here. in this borrowing, so that as a total, bonding total, we're at 6.268896. And then the issuance costs, of course, on top of that put us right at about 6.5. So Brian recommended that we have the resolution at 6.5. I passed out the information then about the building renovation. How does the building renovation still get completed? Because I'm showing you those numbers, and we actually do need $1 million extra, right? I mean, we're gonna be short, we're not gonna be able to get that project finished to the way that we should. And so my proposal is saying we have some extra funds that are out there through interest rate funds that are not accounted for yet, that are not designated, and as well as the funding that, or the funds that we got on the, and I want to call it the rebate from the county. Work comp, there you go, work comp. And so those funds are outstanding in that they would replace then, so that we can still accomplish that project. So, not to, you know where I stand, but I still have to give my one last pitch in saying why it is important. And I'm going to start with getting again behind the need for childcare. But either way, whether it is childcare or economic development, the county as a whole needs to think beyond cutting, and it needs to think on how we're building revenues. And supporting young families is really critically important. When you think about the mission of you here as leaders and what you did, or your predecessors did if you hadn't been on the board, but in supporting a justice center, and you think about the cost of that, in taking care of people in your county that are committing crimes, and that we're handling that with $47 million. My $250,000 to support the youngest of the youngest in your families in this county is less than 0.5%. And I think that's really important to think about, is to think about, what is your future here? Is your future who you're locking up? Or is it the future that you're seeing in your children? So I'm going to pass this out one more time. Oh, wait, I think I've got it here. I'm going to pull it up on the screen as well, so that if anybody's watching, they can see it as well. Yep. Oops, let me do this. My desktop is a little messy, so I got to clean that up quick before I share this. Okay, here we go. All right, I know you guys are probably getting sick of hearing me talk about this, but I'll try to go through this as quickly as possible. So, just economic development in rural areas is about creating opportunities that sustain families, build resilient communities, and enhance the quality of life for everyone. By investing, we empower these regions to thrive independently and preserve the unique character that makes rural communities invaluable. Again, to remember that the loss of families and children affects your school districts, affects your small businesses, affects your big businesses eventually, and it's of concern to everyone. There are not enough early childhood education slots available for children 5 and under in Trempealeau County. You can see the need here. This comes from the Department of Children and Families. We're in crisis already in childcare. The long-term impacts are out there. Parents are forced out of the workforce. There's negative economic impact on businesses that are unable to hire. And then there's a loss of annual revenue to the state of Wisconsin. So we did our own survey through the county that we actually worked with. The healthcare, Gunderson Hospital, we worked with the school district. 300, many businesses partnered with us, Ashley Furniture, and got the survey out so that we had 358 responses, which was really positive to see a strong response on that piece. 77% from working residents that care for children under age 12. And then I have the flyer for you that is included in the packet that shows the responses from individuals. Let me just see, sorry.
You got it there?
I don't. It's talking that the average employee paying for childcare spends over $850 per month. 26% of families travel more than 20 miles from home or work for childcare, and more than 4% of families travel 40 miles for childcare. 62% of individuals said yes. Have you or someone in your immediate family considered staying home to care for your children rather than remaining in the workforce? Often that can be a positive thing as well, except it does affect the quality of life for families and trying to afford living nowadays when you don't have two people in the workforce. And so it is of concern. Also, our own workforce and how we attract people to come and work for us at the county in itself. So on the back side, there's some more data there for you that came out of that study. And just to remind you, this has been an ongoing issue. This is a problem that's just not new. Rick, previous to us being here, had done a similar type of study within the county employees, and found that it was the similar results, that majority of individuals said yes, that would be something that they would be interested in, as having on-site childcare. What I'm suggesting is that it's not just open to the county employees. This would be a county-wide offering, and it would be something that this investment is not a sure thing. It is not. It is something that still needs to be followed up on, because as you can see, we don't have numbers here in front of us if we're at the 6.5 million. So that's where I've said I would work on a WEDC match grant. If we bring down that number on our economic development, or that 250,000, then that number of match comes down. So I just want to try to maximize what we can do, and the maximum is 250,000. And then it would be working to, again, work with the hospital foundation, your area businesses, where I do believe there's strong interest and people would be interested in that possibility. And that, again, the funds that we look to invest is a way to capitalize on other opportunity from individuals in the area. And those groups, if we leave that money on the table, I think that's a loss for the county as well, because I do think that there's a collective interest in the subject. Again, where my heart stands, and where I think that this is an initial piece that we should work on. And I've talked to the superintendent in Osseo, and they're interested, and I think that this is how strong for the county if you formed a regional system that was taking care of this. But even if you said, I just cannot get behind the child care piece, this was in Wednesday's paper, Wednesday, December 11th, where Ettrick passes budget, future referendum suggested. This is from one of the Village Finance Committee members. We don't have the expansion in our tax base, and costs keep going up. We're not going to have much of a choice. Olson said, the lack of growth in the village is a major concern. These issues are affecting all of your communities across this region. And got to start thinking, how are you attracting individuals to this area to support and again, make sure that your schools are flourishing and your businesses are supported. So this is where I'm at, is I got you to the 6.5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
will there be discussion of this later on, or is this the
well, it's
appropriate
actually the
time?
next resolution. Next resolution. I'll have Paul read the resolution when we get to
Okay.
that point, and then a discussion after that. I need to, okay, you want to read the resolution?
Be it resolved by the County Board of Supervisors of Trempealeau County, Wisconsin, the county, that there shall be issued general obligation promissory notes of said county in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6.5 million, the notes, for the public purpose of paying the cost of highway improvements and other projects included in the county's 2025 capital improvement plan, collectively the project. Be it resolved by the County Board of Supervisors of the county that there be and hereby is levied on all taxable property in the county a direct annual tax in such years and in such amounts as are sufficient to pay when due the principal and interest on such notes. Be it resolved by the County Board of Supervisors of the county that the county hereby officially declares its intent pursuant to Treasury Regulation Section 1.150-2 to reimburse any expenditures made in connection with the project prior to the issuance of the notes, with the proceeds of the notes in an amount not to exceed $6.5 million, introduced by County Board Chair John Awesome.
Okay, look, motion by Supervisor Nutter.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Johnson. Now we can have discussion.
The question I have is the discussion, Rebecca, that you had regarding the daycare program. Some of the communities in the county via the school have developed daycare programs. Some of the funding they have received I think has come in grant form from the State Department of Education, I'm guessing. What availability might there be in that area, to your knowledge?
I think a lot of the funding came through ARPA funding, previous. So I did put together, just, outside groups, individuals that have worked not only on this issue, but economic development. I'll just kind of give you a little bit of an overview real quick. Viroqua in Vernon County, they built a grant-funded multi-purpose housing development with stores, apartments, and a new childcare facility. Southern region areas, Lancaster started a childcare, worked with a childcare provider to open a second location to add more slots. Mount Horeb was formed and created a childcare initiative and childcare grant program to offer providers trainings. City of Sun Prairie, City of Mauston were both a part of the Dream Up grant through the state, that's through DCF. Adams County and Crawford County, both multiple agencies in the county, including County Health and Human Services, formed a task force. That group recently invited a representative from the Federal Office of Childcare Technical Assistance Network to meet with them, and they discussed strategies, and so they're looking to build childcare capacity in the county. The city of Beaver Dam, I kind of know a little bit about. They identified $100,000 in ARPA funds to 2 childcare centers. $50,000 was given to the Beaver Dam Unified School District to convert an elementary school to childcare. Collaboration is working with a nonprofit in the community that has taken over the location and will build up to 100 slots there at that location. Also, $50,000 was a collaborative effort with the YMCA of Dodge County. They took over the community hospital that was struggling to keep their child care center going, and had about 40 slots left. The YMCA has now taken that over and they're up to about 100 slots, close to 100 slots now. Then you have Dodge County, Wisconsin, and Jefferson County, Wisconsin, which each contributed $200,000, and the city of Watertown contributed $400,000 in ARPA funds to a larger project where the YMCA of that area has created, with their health foundation, has created a new space for childcare, and over 100 slots have been created there. Just not getting away from the childcare piece, there are counties that have economic development funds. Fond du Lac County has identified their portion of their sales tax funds that they work with their communities to incentivize projects. Walworth County has a program. Dodge County just started a program. Washington County has a really interesting housing fund and housing program that they do, and it's been really successful. I'm really interested in learning more about that. But anyway, they take funds and they put them towards those. But to your point, I'm hopeful. I think I've shared before that this subject is rising to the top and that there will be some help that will be coming in these areas to make some of these projects continue to happen.
Just a follow-up. So what I hear you saying is that should this money be allocated towards a project of this nature, that there would be an effort to form a greater or stronger collaboration with other businesses and schools or whatever to before this initiative would be kicked off.
Correct. That $250,000 isn't enough to do what to make an appropriate space available. So it definitely, like I had mentioned, WEDC, it's the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation from the state of Wisconsin. They have already given us a kind of an approval, verbal approval, saying we like the project. Now, the project that I pitched to them was broader, was saying we're going to use all of that space to have community space as well. That was one conversation that we had previous. And to have the space available for incubator, kind of so people could come in, use internet, use office space to get businesses up and starting. So there's still conversations because I need to go back to WEDC and say, are you going to be okay to just support childcare yet? I think that they would have interest. They have interest in our area, and they had previously approved funding over in the village of Trempealeau area, but that project fell through. And so I'm hoping they're going to resurrect those funds, and I think that they'll still be behind that.
Okay, go ahead.
It sounds like a good proposal, but it seems like WEDC and other organizations, I feel that even though we want the funding, that the rural areas kind of get left behind by these bigger organizations. They go to La Crosse, and I hate to say, I think, in my opinion, the only reason why the village of Trempealeau got even considered is because they're close to La Crosse. We're not. In my opinion, I'm torn between this. I think it'd be good to have a good start, but at the same time, I think we have less of a guarantee of getting other funds because we're a rural area. I just feel, fair or not, we get left behind.
Yeah, I would, if I can just, I would say, I think that's changing. I think the conversation is changing in those national counties association meetings that I'm a part of as well. There's a lot of conversation about the rural areas and the need that is there, and I think that is changing. What I would say is again, we've already gotten the okay or the go-ahead, kind of like, yeah, we really like the project. I think if you as leaders decided to move forward on this, it would be, you know, that's not a for sure, right? We put all funds into an account and it has to come back to you for approval. I would have a lot of work ahead of me in 2025 to pull all these people together and make that project line up. And I'd have to bring it back to you and say, now, in the end, if that didn't work out, you still have those funds sitting in an account that I would say, man, we could, right, well, let's get on that, let's get on something that's the next best thing that we can do that can help the county as far as in an economic development way. Or you could just throw it into your roads because they probably could pick it up and use it right away.
Supervisor Nutter.
I think a good partner in looking at this is with Western Dairyland. And Bridget and I are both on the board. There's a tremendous amount of grant money because we see the grants that they get. I would also, I've kind of lost track of what's happening with buildings at the healthcare center. Are they all being used or is there any empty space? Because one of the things that and I know counties and areas that do this, is intergenerational work with kids and adults together. And it's such a positive thing for both. And I would really love to see something along those lines.
I think the second floor of the old building is still vacant, isn't it?
One wing,
Just one wing of it?
just one wing. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that we would use that, but I mean, that's an idea that's been fermenting in my brain for a long time, is to have intergenerational care, because kids and adults, it's an amazing thing for both of them when you see situations like that.
I think that would be a good problem to have if we can get past taking that and moving forward with the daycare. I think that's very important. It's been stressed on the state level that it's an important thing, and I'm certainly behind it full force.
And I've seen in the Department of Human Services, social workers leave because they don't have childcare, or the childcare doesn't match what they make. And we've lost one really excellent social worker that chose to stay home with her kids.
Even Board of Health. I mean, childcare was an issue.
We lost a county
Or
board member
a director.
because he had no, the personnel committee at one time was looking at this. This was like a couple years ago when Emery was part of our board, and that was something he was really behind.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
just checking on this. The commitment that you've got in the bonding is for a single year.
Correct.
So game plan for length of time of investment, I try not to spend money unless I know how deep into my pocket it'll be dug. Is this something that we'd increase from the first year? Are we using a flexible budget with this idea? Or do we have a plan as far as financial for each year's allocation? It'll be $250,000 for the next 5 years? Or is there anything specifically developed before we jump in with 2 feet?
There's nothing specific developed. The first piece is really the build-out, the space, and looking for that. The actual running of the program itself is where we have talked about a team-up with the school district, so that the school district would be running that, similar to what Arcadia and Blair do. As far as, the specifics of the building itself, you already have the building here. It would, those would be things that would have to be worked out on a partnership basis with whoever would run the center.
One problem with this facility, there is no playground or anything in summertime. I can understand in the wintertime, you ain't gonna send them out anyway, but we don't have a playground here.
Yeah, we have that out there, the picnic tables and
You actually have a beautiful courtyard that
Yeah.
connects right on the back side of the space and would be
doesn't
perfect.
get used very
And a
often.
pond.
And then you have a playground right across the street
Okay,
at the ball field.
Mr. Chairman, the reason why I bring it up, in my district, we do have childcare at the Arcadia Public Schools, but it does have a definite impact on the finances. And if you speak with the people that are operating it, it has to have, you've got to plan down the road quite a distance, because you can't open it up one year, close it down, because we're giving further disadvantage to any parents. So we do have to have a specific plan. If we're going to spend $250,000, got to have an idea what the game plan is for the future and who our partnerships are going to be with.
This is I think this is my third comment. But I think partnering with
You lucked
Western.
out, he's not keeping track.
Oh, you're not? It's a freebie tonight? Oh, don't say that to me. God, no. I think partnering with Western Dairyland would be, I mean, they're experts at childcare and Head Start and just engaging with them, because there's a lot of regulation, because when I worked for the state, the daycare regulators were right next door to me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done. And there's an empty space in Strum because they just lost their childcare provider, which was sad.
And I would just say to Supervisor Mullen's question is, or comment is really, again, none of the funds are expended until all of this is put together and researched and brought together. It's really, again, that chicken and egg. WEDC doesn't want to put in funds until they know there's a commitment, and businesses don't want to put in money until they know there's a commitment, and that overall, and so that's what we're talking about.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, because I also understand with Supervisor Whalen, because I'm also from Arcadia area, and I've reached, again, out to my counterparts. It may sound like the negative Nancy. In the school district, Arcadia as long as the city, and even though it's operating, they, like I said, they have their doubts and struggles. I just don't want to end up in the same boat they are.
Childcare is not self-sufficient, I will tell you that right now, and I think that working with the school district is, and in my first understanding at least with Superintendent Bigley, is that, they would be taking on that piece of it. The operations, they don't work. They don't, and that's why the system is failing. People don't want to work for 12 hours a day and make $12 an hour with no benefits. And that system is broken and it doesn't work. And so that's why we're trying to figure out other options. So it's costly, it's too costly for the parents, they can't afford it, they can't, so yeah, you're not wrong.
Chair,
Go ahead, Mr.
a question first. The 250 that you're talking about, is that going into a separate isolated account, or does that go into the regular economic pocket? Or will that be isolated out?
I guess you could identify it however you want.
Okay.
I mean, I would think that it would all be invested so that you're gaining interest on that whole thing while you're waiting for all the roads to be completed and such, right? And so, but if you wanted to make sure that it was, set up someplace specific, we could do that as well.
Well, because the reason, the money we designate for highway, that's designated to a specific account. There's a list of specific projects. In this case, I'm questioning, is it designated to a specific account like highway is for road construction, not for maintenance? Would this money be isolated in that way?
Sure.
It would be?
Sure.
Or we have to
Yeah.
do something to do that?
Right, we would have to do something to do
Okay,
that. Yep,
okay.
yep.
Now, then I'll get on to, has anybody that paid attention to executive finance, Becky and I have had a rather spirited conversation about this already. I have brought forth a different proposal to look at. I passed out earlier for others to look at, see where I thought we could and should go with this. Since I did this, there's been a couple minor changes, I discovered I used an outdated number for the courthouse repairs, and that 6,000 for a snow sweeper didn't come into the later one, so that got moved around towards the renovation from my proposal. Also, earlier on, I asked Paul about the cost of borrowing, and he estimated about 100,000. I see your proposal now is 188, so we're looking close to 200. So that would require me to make an adjustment of my numbers. So at this point, I'm going to make a motion that we limit this to 6.2 million based on my projected figures.
What was your motion? Is this an amendment to the original motion? The original motion is for the 6.5.
We already have
6.5.
We have a
So
motion
I'm
on
to
the-
amend that motion
You
to
wanna amend the
6.2.
motion of the 6.5,
Right,
or to what?
The 6.2, he said.
right.
And that would be a not to exceed,
Not to
like it
exceed.
is right
Correct,
now, and not
correct,
to
Not to
exceed.
exceed, correct.
Okay, is there a second to that?
No, just a quick question.
Yeah.
What document are we looking at, David?
Should have been one on your desk that I handed out.
No,
earlier.
that's,
Nope.
that's the shorter one. Yep, the little one.
You got it?
This one here.
Everybody has it on their desk.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord, this is-
Do you have extra copies of it?
Do you want mine?
Oh, wait a minute, I've got more here. I thought she gave you
Put it on
one.
everybody's desk.
I thought I did too, but they've been swapping papers back there.
Oh, you came to the office, so it was here before you came, so maybe that one. Let's check that one. We're gonna check, we got one more piece of paper. This is all.
No, I don't have it, but I can share that.
The daycare all completely, other than the 100,000 as seed money, if something is needed for that, to look deeper into it. But I don't see enough numbers, enough activity, I'll call it, enough contacting to justify.
He's adjusted at 262.
Well, I don't know, I'm offering that to them to.
Nope, I'm not gonna mess this up.
I know it's not in.
Well, that's to get the match that he's verbally committed but not on paper.
100,000.
This one's on
Then there was a difference here too.
So many acronyms.
Actually, he's
And I
higher.
just.
John didn't get one.
We're rushing into this without enough background.
Well,
there.
daycare and
He
housing
forgot
are the
to
two
take off
biggest
the
issues in the whole
6,000 from the
country.
sweeper, he said. Yeah, that's there. Okay, so he's just.
Right now, it has 60, you have a motion, since you don't have a second.
No, that's not.
At this time, we have amendment to the original proposal. We have a motion to change that 6.5 to 6.2.
There's 6.1 on my sheet.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I said, in regard to, I was using an estimated $100,000 for the cost of the bond. It now appears that the cost is $188,000 for the bond, so I said we need to move it up to 6.2.
I see.
Can you explain the difference, what you took out?
Well, I probably can.
150,000.
I pulled $1 million out.
I suppose if you
I
took
gotta
these
get to the
two
right
things,
sheet.
5 and 5. IT 42, 42.
I started with the one was handed out maybe a month ago, the 2025 long-term bonding. That's the numbers I started working with.
It's changed.
Early on in there, everything to highway is just as requested on my list. Highway got reduced by the 363,000, 69, down to a $5 million even. So that brought it up to let me take these off. so I can-
5,524,000.
Right. So that left out of I started with the premise of a $6 million bond. This was my premise that I started with. So that left 475,000 left. I've still said, okay, economic development and this whole idea of the childcare thing, I think is worthwhile pursuing. I just don't see that we've got enough information to put more than, I'll call it seed money, to start this, to see if, where it needs to go. I think a whole lot more collaboration needs to be done with school districts, with whoever, whatever, to see if we can get buy-ins for costs and spaces. I also think that the childcare thing needs to be, an attempt needs to be made to, I'll call it, divide the county in 3 parts and have something available in the south, something in the central, and something in the north. And then find some way to work that, and then try to be supportive of that idea. So that's, I left 100,000 in, I took 150 out. And then, I didn't do this according to what college people do.
Which is,
But anyway, now we're down to 381,000, which I proposed go into, if you look on the bottom, the renovation fund, we have 3,728,000 in it right now. We put that 381 in there. That brings, now granted, your sheet says 375, but if you'll recall back here, there was 6,000 out of courthouse maintenance that didn't need to be in there. So the 375 on my printed sheet calculates 381 in the real world, brings a subtotal 4 million, and then total renovation fund is 4,282,000, which does not leave money for furniture, much. It leaves, I believe my recollection is probably only about 175,000 for furniture. But we've also had discussions about, is there any furniture from the, could be reused? We don't have an answer on that yet. Is there any furniture that could be sold to generate revenue towards new furniture? We don't have any numbers on that yet. So my thought is, once the building is getting near completion, we start looking, or somebody get some numbers on that. If they need more money, we do have some money in that leftover or extra interest from last year. And what was the other? There was another one.
The 175 you were talking about, there was a couple.
Well, I also put the insurance rebate into that already in my proposal.
Okay.
But there was 2 other ones. One was interest and the other one was, that's probably not on this sheet, that's probably on another one. Anyway, there's between 500,000 and 600,000 in those 2 leftovers that could be brought forward towards furniture if and when that's what we need.
Mr.
So-
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So in many ways, I agree with you, Dave. But when you look at the numbers and by shaving a couple $100,000, whether it be for furniture or economic development, is literally, when it shakes out in the payback, is pennies. So whether it's a 1.5 cents per thousand, whether it's 2 cents per thousand, it's very minimal in the payback end. The other thing that I want to say is, unless this board starts to invest in the people in our community, besides just the roads, we know those things. We're doing generational projects of building the Justice Center and then renovating the courthouse. And I think this shows the people in this county that we're vested in them, is my concern. And if this money, I agree that the money should, that money, that 250,000 should go in a separate account. And once this board decides on a plan and decides to move forward with it, but we're not gonna get very far if we've got $100,000 to invest. And I don't have any kids in daycare, but I struggled with my kids in daycare, and I think just about every parent in this room did. So if we can make that a little bit easier, and if this is successful, the part I really agree upon is having something in the north and the south, or wherever we can within the county, but we have to start somewhere. We maybe have to start with land that the county already owns, whatever that might be. But I think we need to move forward with it. And if we've not earmarked it for this budget, it's probably going to be dead in the water. That's my fear.
Well, anyway, we do have a motion on the floor, and I never did get a second, so we really shouldn't even be discussing it until you get a second, do you? I still haven't got a second. To Dave's amendment, I never did get a second. Okay, now I can discuss it, but we're probably done discussing it.
Well, I'm just gonna say, if I could say, I am 100%, I've talked with numerous people in saying I do believe it should be across the county. I mean, I think that strongly, and I'll tell you what, was just at the Human Services Conference, was it last week or the week before, and DCF was there, and they're excited about what this could be and want to, think about like how this could be a model for the state. But I can't work on all of those locations at once. And so I want to go in and I need to sell, right? And I want to sell this because I do believe it's a very good thing. But I can't go in and sell if it's not fully supported. And I can't go in and do 4 different projects at once. I'm paying a lot to have my grays colored already on my head. And you'll see a fast progression.
Go ahead. One more time.
Well, this is on a different amendment, this is a different discussion, right? So, I don't know who's been on the Human Services Committee with me for a long time, but when we first got the, whatever it was, $2.5 million in ARPA funds, we put together a proposal to have a center in the northern part, the center, or the middle part of the county, and the southern. And I don't know if that information in that proposal is still somewhere, but Deb Sukla and her team and the Human Services Board really put together an amazing dream. And it was intergenerational centers for kids and adults and families, and ARPA money went somewhere else. But it was a great plan if Jay can dig through the files and find it.
Those, Jeannie, were community centers, though
right.
not daycare centers.
Right, but it could be converted to that very easily. There's at least some bones, at least a skeleton to work with.
Go ahead, Linda.
Wherever a daycare center would be located, it would benefit all Trumbull County citizens. If a daycare center were to be located within the old government center, there may be employees from all parts of the county, utilizing that service on their way to their workplace, either in Whitehall or near Whitehall, as well as Whitehall area employees travel to other parts of the county for employment. And I think we know that this isn't just about children. I did some research on the internet about childcare in Wisconsin, and I saw the report you were alluding to, the Wisconsin Economic Development. And there were a lot of bullet points of important information that you have touched on them all. There was a statement that I thought was pretty impressive. While childcare remains an important family issue, it is also a critical business issue. So if we don't support, when we're supporting a child care program, we're supporting our businesses. We're increasing the employee pool because we're inviting people to come to Trumbull County and stay here. I think we all know that daycare is an important issue, as well as jobs and education, religion. I'm thinking that childcare is probably, if you've got children, that's right up at the top. It could make or break you taking a job. In that study, it was stated that approximately 4 out of 5 Wisconsin employers, say the state economy is impacted by a parent's access to affordable, high-quality childcare. High-quality childcare. And I think that's what we're talking about here. 2/3 of employers say childcare is a way to retain valuable employees. If we were to invest in a daycare initiative, I believe it would attract families to live and stay in Trempealeau County. That would boost our economy. It would provide a greater personnel pool for employment across Trempealeau County. I think this is just an opportunity that we can't afford to ignore.
Thank you. Anybody else got any comments? Mr.
Well, I just
Anderson.
want to add on to what Supervisor Lang said. I think there is a lot of logistics to be hashed out, a lot of work. But I think that, like Supervisor Miller said last meeting, that the current county board and past haven't ever stuck any money into this type of a fund for economic development. I think it's important, and $250,000, I don't know what it costs the average tax person, but maybe $3, $4, $5, you know. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers, I don't have that in front of me. But with that said, I think that we need to designate that money towards economic development. I believe that there should be some type of a committee that is made of the county board, maybe 4 or 5 people, I'm not sure who would be on it, to look into it and work with our administrator with this. I've talked to a lot of people about it. I don't have any children that are in need of daycare or grandchildren at the time, but I think that we need to start looking at that. I think the state of Wisconsin is looking at it, and it's probably global. But I think that if we start here in Whitehall, attract people to, and like I said, I don't know for sure who's going to run it and how that's going to all work out, but I think we need to set that money aside, earmark it for that. I also believe that down in Galesville, there's a possibility that somebody else can house daycare down there. And so, again, I think I'm for it. I am.
Okay. Any other comments? Go ahead, Stacy.
I'll just add quick, at the WCA conference this year, they had a childcare workshop, and that provided some incredible examples for what other counties are doing. So there's plenty of resources out there where we can collaborate and network and really maximize that money. Also, the most recent map I've seen it had shown Trempealeau County was the worst in the Coulee region for childcare. So to, Supervisor Line, to her point, I mean, we're losing families just to neighboring counties. We're working on getting wages to where they need to be, really putting our county in a position where we can attract those families, the good employees. And I think this would just be another good step in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, one more time.
I appreciate your presentation, Ms. Gwilyn. I see the pros and cons on both. I think I am for this with caution, optimistic, cautiously optimistic. As a citizen, and probably, I think part of the reason, again, this has gone through or maybe had pretty good supporters with you, and also having some, if I should say respectfully, some younger board members and younger side, we're kind of the next generation. And if most of the people I'm getting from the taxpayers that are hesitant are some of the older taxpayers, but as a younger person, I could present this to them that even though I have a little bit of reservations, I think the seed money is a good start again. I like it being in a seed money and like in an actual separate account, like has been mentioned, that I like your proposal that it's just seed money and it's not going to be spent without approval from this board or whoever or the future board. So with that, I will be for it.
Okay, but we still have that motion on the floor in a second on the amendment, and that has to be either voted for or against prior to going back to original. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, daycare is a hot topic, that's for sure, but everybody who contacted me on this after they've watched the past meetings we've had, they said it is an issue, but nobody's very big on the county running a daycare center. And personally, I don't like it here in this building, or in the old building where she proposes. If everybody that I've talked to says, why don't you, as the economic development, work with other people and the schools? You got 2 schools in this county that do have it, and it's kind of a user fee. They pay it, they keep it going, and they use it. And the people in that area use it. Like if you put one here, I heard that somebody called me from Oliva, and one person from Trempealeau said, what am I gonna get out of that, you know? And it's a true fact. I know you're doing something for Whitehall, but you're not doing enough for the rest of the county, and they're paying for it. And the county should not run a daycare. You should assist somebody to come in here, get them some grants, get the schools grants. Let every school have a daycare. Use that money towards getting grants and getting something in here. But as far as the county running a daycare, I think that's, everybody I've heard from, that's outside of our lines. To aid and help somebody, I think it's great. And you'd have the avenues to go, get them some assistance. Here's a grant, here's something else, but that's the way I feel.
It would be an amendment to the amendment, so we get one amendment at a time. But it was a comment.
But I
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I hope there is no misunderstanding. I have no, I don't propose that the county runs a child care center either. I don't, that is not what I'm proposing.
Go ahead, Lori.
I think one thing is that you're not necessarily set on one partnership or one avenue at all. So it could be something like they tried in Trempealeau, or it could be, other entities, the economic development could be helping somebody to actually understand how to be able to run a facility such as this, with enough partners to actually make it work, in the private sector.
And I think the piece of people have to, I know people that work here, live here,
Yep.
drive to Arcadia to take their child to the childcare center and drive back to work. So yes, people from across the county can access it because they're doing it right now.
Okay.
I think this probably is my last. Oh, it's not? Yeah, we have a free-for-all tonight.
No way.
It kind of hurts my ears to hear comments that, well, what does it do for me? When we support our children and our families, we're supporting everybody who lives here. When we pay taxes for roads that I may never drive on, but I'm very happy to do that because I want people to be safe that live in this county. So when we support each other, we are more of a community instead of saying, what does it do for me? What it does for you is it makes healthy children who will get jobs, who will have healthy families, helps parents who can stay working, who can contribute to our community. We all do better. When we all do better, we do better. So that's just my final word.
Yeah, Ms. Severson, you have something? Yeah?
No.
Anybody? Oh,
Can
we vote on the amendment?
okay, is that what we want to do? Did you have a comment?
Well, I was just going to comment quickly on what Supervisor Becker had mentioned, because the examples given at the conference were all about partnerships. So I think that's where we need to be very clear in our communication with the taxpayers that this is, there's going to be circumstances maybe where the county is providing the space, but beyond that, we're not going to be running the daycare. That's going to be a partnership, that's going to be another company coming in. So making sure that we have that information out there, even though we don't know the clear plan yet, we can probably give some examples so that, I know places like the GET School Board, they've been discussing this as well, or the school district. So just making sure that the constituents are well aware of where their money would be going.
Not to pick on Jeannie, but I'm gonna count if nobody else is. We gotta move forward here. We
Okay.
can't go on.
I was just going to support Stacy.
Okay, we got,
Chair Austin,
probably, go ahead.
I apologize, but I just want to clarify, is Supervisor Station moving to call the question?
Yes, I am.
Because
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I should've did that.
That
instead of-
requires a second as well. Okay,
Okay,
and that
oh.
requires a 2/3 vote to pass.
Oh, now we got
Can that
amendment.
be a voice vote, though?
I think as long as, well, we need to be able to count 2/3.
Do your math.
Well, I can listen
Let's do a
first.
hand vote. We can do a voice vote first and see how
Yeah.
it comes out. Voice vote to call the question.
That means quit discussion and vote on the amendment.
Yes.
So,
So this is just so we can get to the amendment. So voice vote starting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign.
I think yeah.
Okay. Question being called. So now we're down to the amendment, which was to.
The amendment is to change in this resolution that we just had, the 6.5 down to 6.2.
Okay.
That's what the motion is.
Okay.
A yes will make it go down to 6.2, a no will leave it at 6.5.
We'll call the roll on that one.
Kevin Adams.
No.
Dick Miller. No. Kevin Whalen.
No.
John Austin.
No.
Robert Becker.
Yes.
Renee Lyon.
No.
Kellen Nelson.
No.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
No.
Ron Johnson.
No.
Bridget Turner.
No.
Stacy Klein.
No.
Richard Sasha.
No.
Lori Severson.
No.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
Richard Anderson. No. That should do it. 3 and
30.
7, 8, 9,
Now we're
10,
back
11,
to
12,
the
13.
original
3 to
motion.
13.
Because I understand.
Is there any comment on the original resolution, which was at 6.5 billion?
6.5. Initial res.
Go ahead.
One quick question. She's said that now that they got 250,000, they're gonna try to get it. I do like the idea that you're gonna put somebody in charge of that.
No.
And I don't know how we'd amend it to include saying that in that
This one is 3.
proposal that exec finance would rule on all expenditures out of that, whatever you put it in.
Economic
Yeah,
Development Fund.
I would please ask to do that.
That's probably kind of a,
Doesn't that happen all the time anyway?
that's kind of a, anytime there's anything to do with money, it goes through exec finance already.
Right.
So that's basically a given already. It goes
But
through
we'll make a
exec.
Yep.
point of bringing it back
the-
to specify that.
Well, because that was my was one thing I didn't like, is that you were gonna give 250,000 to somebody, and you had no place, you didn't say where it's going. Well, who's in control? And Rebecca says, well, this is kind of economic development, and there goes $200,000. Well, no, I mean, it's great.
I can do that?
You wouldn't be the first. I'm just saying is that it's taxpayer money. It's taxpayer money, and we gotta
Go
know
ahead,
where it's
Mr.
going.
Miller.
Hey,
Let's
I
hold
wasn't
it
done
down.
yet.
My,
I wasn't, just wait there. I just say, that's my concern. I just want to make sure that we have some parameters set forth here, is that we guard that taxpayers' dollars and where it goes, and it goes to where we initially are voting for it to go. So, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Miller, comment.
my understanding all along is that that expenditure is going to have to be approved by this board, not just exec finance, by this board. So there is oversight in a sense, in terms of where that money goes.
I would say.
Dick, either way, as long as we get clarity in it, how it handles, and all of a sudden, it's gone, and nobody said anything, so.
Go ahead, Mr. Sasha.
I'm making a motion to call the question.
I'll second.
Vote on that.
Okay, the question's been called for. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign.
We're done talking.
We're done talking. We're done talking.
You ready?
We're down to the motion, the original
Motion.
resolution for 6.5 minutes.
David Larson.
No.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Sasha.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
No.
Richard Anderson.
Yes.
Kevin Adams.
Yes.
Dick Miller.
Yes.
Kevin Whalen.
Yes.
John Austin,
Yes.
Robert Becker,
No.
Renee Lyon,
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
Looks like it's 13-3.
It passed.
7, 8, 9, 10.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going on to,
Thank you.
going on to environmental land use for the people here for rezone. Finally got to it. So anyway, rezone residential 8 to residential 20 for the Beck in the town of Preston.
Whereas Curtis D. Beck and Charlotte M. Beck, Blair, Wisconsin, petitioner landowner, has requested the rezone of a parcel of land in the town of Preston for a future land division. Whereas the rezone is on approximately 11.72 acres more or less, and whereas a public hearing was held pursuant to section 59.69 parentheses 5 of the Wisconsin statutes, and whereas the town of Preston supports the rezone request, and whereas the Environment and Land Use Committee moved to rezone this parcel from residential 8, R8, to residential 20, R20, and it appears that the zoning change request is appropriate under the circumstances. Now be it resolved that the county adopt the attached ordinance amending the zoning district boundaries as indicated, introduced by Environment and Land Use Committee, Kellen Nelson, Kevin Whalen, Randy Severson, Stacy Klein, Anthony Munson.
Move to approve.
Motion by Supervisor Nelson, second by Supervisor Turner. Okay. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yeah. Do we have anybody here? Oh, there you go. Verge is here.
Verge is here. Verge Gamble, the Department of Land Management.
All right. Okay, now that's approximately 12 acres. Now, R20, tell us what that means.
R20 is basically subdivision zoning. And because it's such a small acreage, there's a calculation in the zoning ordinance, which we have to go by. And therefore, the only zoning that they could go to, which is the highest density, is R20. And they had made a previous split before and sold it to their daughter, and now they want to make another split to give it to their granddaughter. And this has been, we have a letter from the town of Preston saying that's okay with them.
Now, what will be possible for lots? What will be possible, the possible number of lots on our R20 under this acreage?
Including the split they done previously, they could have a total of 6 lots
Okay.
out there. The stipulation with R20 is though they can't have any animals, besides a dog or a cat, because it's subdivision zoning. And I made that very clear to the Becks that that would not be allowed. And we did discuss other options, in their area of what they could do, and this is the direction they wanted to pursue. Letters were sent to all the adjoining landowners, and it was published in the newspaper, and I did not receive any correspondence from anyone regarding this particular rezone.
Okay, thank you. We'll call the roll.
Okay, Lori Severson,
Yes.
Andy Todd,
Yes.
Richard Anderson,
Yes.
Kevin Adams,
Yes.
Dick Miller,
Yes?
Kevin Whalen,
Yes.
John Austin,
Yes.
Robert Becker,
Yep.
Renee Lyon,
Yes.
Kellen Nelson,
Yes.
David Larson,
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter,
Yes.
Ron Johnson,
Yeah.
Bridget Turner,
Yes.
Stacy Klein,
Yes.
Richard Seixas.
Yes.
16-0.
It passes. Item 2, rezone exclusive ag to EA2 to rural residential RR for Toma property.
Whereas William J. Toma and Teresa A. Toma, Independence, Wisconsin, petitioner landowner, has requested the rezone of a parcel of land in the town of Unity for a future land division. Whereas the rezone is on approximately 33 acres more or less, and whereas a public hearing was held pursuant to section 59.69 parentheses 5 of the Wisconsin statutes, and whereas the town of Unity supports the rezone request, and whereas the Environment and Land Use Committee moved to rezone this parcel from exclusive agriculture to EA2 to rural residential, RR, and it appears that the zoning change request is appropriate under the circumstances. Now be it resolved that the county adopt the attached ordinance amending the zoning district boundaries as indicated. Introduced by Environment and Land Use Committee, Kellen Nelson, Kevin Whalen, Anthony Munson, Randy Severson, Stacy Klein.
Motion by Supervisor Nutter.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Nelson. Any comments on this one? Go ahead.
This is a rezone of approximately 33 acres from EA2 to rural residential. The thing that makes this interesting is Bill's land, who Bill is present here tonight, is all in 2 townships. The party wants to rezone is in the town of Unity, and the rest of the land he owns is in the town of Hale. So because, again, the EA2 zoning is 1 house per 35 acres, and he only has 33 acres, we had to go to a rezone of a higher density. Again, letters were sent to all the adjoiners. I did get a call from one of them asking what was going on, how many lots could he have there, and why did it have to be a public hearing, which I explained to him, and then he had no other questions. And like I said, I received no correspondence from anyone regarding this rezone, so
No
I hope
support
that
from
you'll
the
pass it.
township either?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Oh, you got?
I read it, too.
Okay. Okay, call the roll.
Jeannie Nutter. Oops, what?
Yes.
Ron Johnson?
Yes.
Bridget Turner?
Yes.
Stacy Klein?
Yes.
Richard Seixas?
Yes.
Lori Severson?
Yes.
Andy Todd?
Yes.
Richard Anderson?
Yes.
Kevin Adams?
Yes.
Dick Miller?
Yes.
Kevin Whalen?
Yes.
John Austin?
Yes.
Robert Becker?
Yes.
Renee Lyon?
Yes.
Kellen Nelson?
Yes.
David Larson?
Yes.
16-0.
Thank you. I just want to make one other comment. Tonight I was watching the 6 o'clock news, and they said that the eagle is about to become officially the national bird for the United States.
I thought it always
No,
was.
it's not. And a gentleman from Wabasha, Minnesota, is now pursuing that for it to become officially the national bird.
Okay. I always thought it was. Item C, Executive Finance Committee. Accept the grant funds for Next Generation 911 grant.
Whereas the State of Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs Office of Emergency Communications has made Next Generation 911, NG 911 funding available to Wisconsin counties to assist with the costs related to the updating and enhancing of land information system data. And whereas this funding is to be used to reimburse contracted costs associated with the updating of mapping data to allow for faster response to emergency calls with location data that is more accurate. And whereas Trempealeau County was awarded grant funding in the amount of $58,200 for contractual services for GIS data conversion. And whereas to receive and allocate these grant funds for NG 911 services, county board approval is necessary. And whereas the awarded funding will be used to reimburse Trumbull County for those contracted costs. Now be it resolved that the Trumbull County Board of Supervisors hereby accepts this grant reward in the amount of $58,200 to be deposited into revenue account 101.43507 and allow Trempealeau County Land Records Department access to these monies through the NG 911 expense account 101.51743.785. Introduced by Executive Finance Committee, David Larson, Bridget Turner, Richard Seixas, John Austin, Robert Becker.
Move to approve. Ugh,
That was tight.
that was like, that was
Now
totally
both
in
of you at the
sync.
same time say second. 1, 2, 3, no.
Second.
We'll take Supervisor Turner for motion and Supervisor Nutter for second. Is there any comments on this at all?
Ann is here, I think.
I am here if there's questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are they flying this with drones now, or are they using planes?
This is just for NG 911.
Oh, okay. You want to explain that?
NG 911 is to get our data ready for our dispatch center for Next Generation 911, which includes being able to text and send videos and photos to a dispatch center or an emergency call center.
in with the new century.
Yes. Yes, we've been talking about this since 2010. So we're finally, Wisconsin's finally moving forward, yes.
Okay. Call the roll.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Seisha. Yes. Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
For sure.
Richard Anderson.
Yes.
Kevin Adams. Kevin Adams? Kevin Adams?
He's missing.
Okay. I'll wait on his then. Dick Miller.
Yes.
Kevin Whalen.
Yes.
John Austin.
Yes.
Robert Becker.
Yes, sir.
Renee Lyon.
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Guess we'll go with 15 then.
I don't know what happened to it, but he's out there somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. Item 2, leverage ARPA funds to purchase and implement finance, payroll, and HR software.
Whereas Trumbull County has been using the same finance and payroll system software for decades, and whereas a consequence, the Trumbull County Human Resources Department has no unified personnel, workforce planning, education, safety, training, benefits, onboarding, offboarding, evaluations, nor recruitment software system. And whereas the limits of the current finance and payroll system, as well as the lack of it should be a unified human services system, are limiting the efficiency and transparency of the county's critical processes. And whereas the county cannot realize future benefits, improve services, and provide the necessary transparency without an updated finance, payroll, and human resources software. And whereas to address these issues, the county needs to invest in systems that can streamline processes, eliminate double entry, allow searchable documentation for all transactions, include an employee self-service portal, provide easy access to reports, and deliver real-time analytics and charts to directors, managers, elected officials, and citizens. Now, be it resolved that the Trumbull County Board of Supervisors hereby approves the use of ARPA funds in the amount of $289,800, account number 201-54177.210, to be used to purchase a new finance enterprise resource planning software system and a payroll human resources software system. ARPA funding was previously approved by the grant to make this purchase. Introduced by Executive Finance Committee, David Larson, Bridget Turner, Richard Seisha, John Austin, Robert Becker.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Nutter, second by Supervisor Nelson.
I'm just going to quick take you through this process, and then I'll hand it over to the team that, who's been working on this here. We have the review team, and Amy's going to pass out just this information so that you can see it and have it and take a look through it, because these individuals gave a lot of time to making sure that we had the best information to bring forward here. And I think everybody's pretty excited about where we're at. You know, in the resolution, it pretty much talks about all of the reasons why, the improved efficiencies, the payroll accountability. Having so many people touch data and multiple times is really a concern for error, and so this would allow us to reduce that. When I first came here, I met with every single department head and sat down like I did with each of you and had some questions for them, and just about every single person that I met with brought this issue up and saying, we need a new system. We need to be able to see what our accounting is in real time so that we know what we can expend and we can make better decisions and more informed decisions. It would help with our grant management and some complicated systems with taking and managing grants. It would integrate various functions like finance, HR, procurement, project management, reduce redundant tasks and manual data entry. Just electronic timesheets would be great so that people are entering right into the system in actual time rather than on paper. And and delivering that. In HR, I'll just say, because that is the world that I'm in and working with individuals directly, they're spending an incredible amount of time entering information into spreadsheets. One person constantly, and what worries me a lot is the chance for error. And so, and we don't have enough employee time then to use those HR professionals to actually train people, which is of concern as well. So when we brought in Government Solutions, if you remember, this was one of their recommendations, is that, you really need a new updated system. And what can it do for, Trempealeau County? I think, again, in the resolution, it pretty much hit on all of these things and just makes things more streamlined. So we evaluate a lot of systems, and it's very time consuming. Each of these groups, you have to start off with hey, we want to hear what you need, and we're telling them we need everything. But basically it was, meetings upon meetings upon meetings, and starting and just weeding through some, and just some were way too expensive, some are just complicated, and we wanted something that was going to be very user-friendly, so that as you have turnover in staff with retirements and such, that it's going to be something that people can come in fairly easy and get retrained and come in. So the review team did recommend, as our Tyler Financial, which found that this is widely used across many counties, and so it's one of the bigger ones that is used across the counties for financial systems. Tyler also offers, they've tried to start getting into the HR piece of things, but so we were interested in that. We thought that could provide something maybe all under one roof that might be a little bit more cost effective, but it was not even close to what was really needed. And right now we're struggling on that end anyway. So we want to make sure that what we pick moves with us into the future, and that this system is investing and staying on top of this and bringing us the best. And UKG is a really good product at a much better price than what some of those others were that we had looked at initially as well. So anyway, if you look at the cost breakdowns then on the next page, fortunately, we do have these ARPA funds that were identified through the health department. We did get prior approval to use those. And so then we basically are looking at and breaking down the differences in the costs. And Banner Finance is a very high upfront cost, but then annually it's much lower. I guess that was the one piece that we kind of went back to making sure that Banner wasn't a better option, because over the long term, it looks like it would be less. It just doesn't have many of the things that we need, the features that we need in both of those systems. And again, Tyler and UKG is across the world. Tyler is really used highly in county government, city government. And then here are the cost comparisons that you can take a look at. Again, we have ARPA funding available, $289,800. It leaves us with, in combining the Tyler Financial and UKG, it does leave us with a little bit of gap this year. And so we would have to identify, that would come back to you eventually, is are some of those funds that are interest funds that would have to go to fill that 50-some thousand gap. I do have this slide in here. Here you can see where Tyler Munis is used in Wisconsin public sector use. It's widespread, right, along many counties and cities, and a lot of positive. Nothing is perfect, and we found that in every conversation that we had. But I think what is really positive here is that slide that I started with in talking about every conversation I've had with individuals, they're excited and ready to get into this. So it's not going to be perfect, but they understand it's going to be way perfect compared to what they are working in now or have now. And here's UKG, same type of information, a lot of county work that they do. So I'm going to hand it over to Tim real quick, and he can come up and share some of his information as well, and what he did and looked at and with the group, the team.
Good evening. First of all, during the Martin Luther King Training Day last year, we did an exercise where staff was asked to identify issues, and then everybody got a chance to vote on the issues that mattered most to them. And electronic time cards and benefit self-service was the #1 thing that employees asked for as their most important thing that they'd like to see. Being able to tell how much vacation time you have left, how much sick time you have left, who's your beneficiary, stuff like that. Look it up yourself instead of calling HR or going and bothering your supervisor. So the need was identified there. Previously, HR, that's been ongoing. Krista was trying to solve it. I think every one of the predecessors was trying to figure out how to do that. We did some systems analysis where every time somebody does a change inside, like there's a name change or they get married or they change the number of dependents they have or what have you, it was entered in 6 different places, the same information. And it went across over down to payroll. And there were so many opportunities for mistakes and inefficiencies. So we identified that HR piece as a big problem right away. The finance side of the house, basically Paul and Stacy have been keeping that together. And I don't know, 100 years combined experience. It might be insulting, but they've done a fantastic job making.
Over 60.
They've done a fantastic job with this system so that you get the information you need. However, we can't depend on the few to go forward. We need a system that's efficient and easy to understand for everybody, so department heads are involved, people that are assisting the department heads, people can understand and see where things are going. So that was addressed as a need and one of the features we looked for. When we started this process, Becky arrived. She brought the management team together, which was basically department heads, and this was discussed first thing, but we didn't know how to approach it because if we tried to do a request for proposals, we didn't know what we didn't know. We've been in the same system for so long and we don't have an HR system. We felt like we needed to assemble a group and try and learn as much as we could about various offerings, and reached out directly to some people that work with other counties and other municipalities and find out who they recommend. And that's the process she spoke to. So we never did do a formal process, but we did see a lot of different presentations. We put people through the ringer. They had to go through and determine what was the things that were most important to them. What are the features the system needs to have? What can we live without? And basically identified that the project itself, the #1 goal was going to be efficiency. The #2 goal was going to be transparency. So we want you to be able to see the data in real time, quickly, easily, and make it accessible. And we wanted to make sure that this solution could go forward in that manner. And that's mainly the reason we decided to go with the more costly Tyler solution, because it did offer a lot of opportunities for future efficiencies that we just didn't see with the other offerings. Any questions?
No, see none.
Thank goodness.
Call the roll.
Dick Miller.
We are voting then.
Yeah, he said
Right.
vote.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Kevin Whalen.
Yes.
John Austin.
Yes.
Robert Becker.
Yes.
Renee Lyon.
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Seisha.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
Richard Anderson.
Yes.
Kevin Adams.
Yes.
16-0.
We all greatly appreciate it.
Okay, this also came through exec finance designating depository banks.
Where? Oh, I'll explain when I read this. Okay. Whereas a new Trumpealeau County treasurer and a new Trumpealeau County clerk have been elected for the next term, and they will be sworn into office on January 6, 2025. Whereas Trumpealeau County has not updated its list of authorized public depositories since 2019, and changes are needed because of mergers and acquisitions of some of the previous public depositories. And whereas this updated designation and authorization is required to conform with Wisconsin Statute 34, now be it resolved by the Trumpealeau County Board of Supervisors that effective upon the signing of this resolution, the following 35 institutions qualify as public depositories under Wisconsin Statute 34.01, and until further action as public depositories, and authorize the deposit and withdrawal of county money from these banks for all public money coming into the hands of the county treasurer in Trempealeau County, Wisconsin. And I'm not going to do their addresses, but I'll just say the names. Alliance Bank, Bluffview Bank, Ultra Federal Credit Union, Citizens Community Federal, Arcadia Credit Union, Citizens Community Federal, Associated Bank, Citizens Community Federal, well, one was an Osseo, one an Ettrick, Bluffview Bank, Citizens Community Federal and Strum, Citizens First Bank in Trempealeau, Citizens First Bank, again in Trempealeau, there's two of them, I guess. I know, because one's at Centerville. There you go. Co-op Credit Union, Galesville, Co-op Credit Union, Strum, Cooley Bank in La Crosse, Ellers Investment Partners, Pershing Advisors Solutions, that's in Jersey City, New Jersey. First National Bank and Trust in Arcadia, First National Bank and Trust in Whitehall, Independence State Bank, Independence, M&I Bank in Eau Claire, Marine Credit Union in Onalaska, Nicolay Bank in Eau Claire, Northwestern Bank in Altoona, Oakwood Bank in Pigeon Falls, Park Bank in Holman, River Bank in Holman, Royal Credit Union, Whitehall, State Bank Financial, La Crosse, Verve Credit Union, Wamandee State Bank Arcadia, Wamandee State Bank Blair, Wamandee State Bank Whitehall, Wells Fargo Bank La Crosse, Wisconsin Department of Administration, which is a local government investment pool, in Madison, Wisconsin Investment Series Co-op PMA Finance Network in Naperville, Illinois. Be it further resolved that withdrawal or disbursement from the above-named depository shall be only by order check as provided by Wisconsin Statute 66.0607, that in accordance therewith, beginning January 6, 2025, that all order checks shall be signed by the following persons: Mary Martin, Trempealeau County Clerk, and Michelle Rose, Trempealeau County Treasurer, and shall be so honored. Be it further resolved that in lieu of their personal signatures, the following facsimile signatures, which have been adopted by them as shown, may be affixed on such order checks, and that the above-named depository shall be fully warranted and protected in making payment on any order check bearing such facsimile, notwithstanding that the same may have been placed thereon without the authority of the designated person or persons. And I don't think you've made the stamp yet, right? That's supposed to go in this next part, but be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be delivered to the above-named depositories, and said depositories may rely on this resolution until changed by lawful resolution. Executive Finance Committee, David Larson, John Austin, Bridget Turner, Richard Seisha, Robert Becker.
Move to approve.
Motion by Supervisor Turner, seconded by Supervisor Becker. Any questions at all? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Kevin Whalen,
Yes.
John Austin,
Yes.
Robert Becker,
Yes.
Renee Lyon,
Yes.
Kellen Nelson,
Yes.
David Larson, Jeannie Nutter.
Oh, they shut off my mic. Yes.
What? Mine's on.
I don't get a red light.
Too many people are on.
Too many. Oh, that's why, okay.
Okay, so you said yes. though.
I said yes.
Ron Johnson?
Yes.
Bridget Turner?
Yes.
Stacy Klein?
Yes.
Richard Seisha?
Yes.
Lori Severson?
Yes.
Andy Todd?
Yes.
Richard Anderson?
Yes.
Kevin Adams?
Yes.
Dick Miller?
Yes.
16-0.
Okay. Audit Committee, membership claims. Members' claims.
Whereas the Audit Committee has audited the following claims and recommend that they be allowed as follows. John Austin, $706.36. Kevin Adams, $140.20. Richard Anderson, $298.49. Robert Becker, $264.74. Ron Johnson, $301.84. Stacy Klein, $546.14. David Larson, $414.82. Renee Lyon, $150. Dick Miller, $121.44. Kellen Nelson, $67.42. Jeannie Nutter, $506.28. Richard Seisha, $134.84. Lori Severson, 0. Andy Todd, $525.12. Bridget Turner, $857.28. Dawn Waldera, $168.76. Kevin Whalen, $190.20. Total per diems, $3,800. Total expenses, $1,593.93. Grand total, $5,393.93. Now be it resolved that the claims be allowed as shown. Introduced by Audit Committee, John Austin, Ron Johnson, Bridget Turner.
Okay, motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Seisha,
Seisha, and who?
and seconded by Supervisor Turner.
Got it.
Go ahead, call the roll.
Robert Becker,
Yes.
Renee Lyon,
Yes.
Kellen Nelson,
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter,
Yes.
Ron Johnson. Oh, where'd he go? Okay, I'll talk slower then. Bridget Turner,
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Seisha.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Richard Anderson,
Yes.
Kevin Adams.
Yes.
Dick Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Whalen,
Yes.
John Austin,
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
16-0.
And Paul, were you gonna ask Kevin Dunn or Kevin Adams on his vote from the time that he wasn't here?
Oh, golly, I
You
can
were
go
thinking
back.
about doing it, but you haven't done it yet.
Hang on. Let me think of where that was.
Yeah, it was a resolution 3-0.
That was the very last one you did.
No, it's quite a ways back.
It's 3 back.
It was this one right here on the 911 grant. Did you want to vote yes or no? Okay, so it'll be 16. Thank you,
Didn't want
Kevin.
to have you get left out, Kevin. We got to cover each other with Kevins.
I was talking too fast at that time, right?
Just wanted to make sure you had another
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
This is also from the Exec Finance Committee, Government Center remodeling project and use of funds.
whereas the Trumpealeau County Board of Supervisors made a generational decision to construct a new Justice Center, resulting in a positive impact on staff and employee recruitment, as well as to the community overall. And whereas the success of the Justice Center project has inspired pride and demonstrated the value of investing in modernized, efficient facilities. And whereas the Government Center is in need of updates and redesign to better meet the needs of the public by improving access to services and ensuring the building's functionality aligns with current and future demands. And whereas the county board recognizes the importance of continuing its relationship with the Samuels Group as its construction manager as advisor for this project due to their expertise and familiarity with county projects. And whereas it is also necessary to establish a process for designating, protecting, maintaining, and dispersing project funds for their use on this project, including the unallocated American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funds and interest accrued for this project through an escrow account managed by an independent escrow agent. And whereas the Samuels Group has provided that through their role as the construction manager as an advisor, they can and will establish the escrow account and designate an independent escrow agent, ensuring that the escrow agent is not affiliated with them as the construction manager as advisor, its officers, directors, subsidiaries, or employees for these project funds. And whereas any interest accrued on the escrow account from the county's funds remain for use on this project and shall be paid, and otherwise shall be paid to the county, maximizing the financial benefits of this project. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Trumpealeau County Board of Supervisors supports the rehabilitation and redesign of the Trumpealeau County Government Center to enhance public access to services and ensure the facility meets modern standards. And be it further resolved that the county board authorizes the engagement of Samuels Group as its construction manager as advisor for this project. And be it further resolved that an escrow account shall be established by the Samuels Group with an independent escrow agent to manage project funds, including the unallocated ARPA funds and interest accrued designated for this project. And be it further resolved that any interest accrued on the escrow account during this project period shall be designated for use on this project and shall otherwise be paid, or shall be otherwise paid to Trumpealeau County as would be consistent with applicable funding requirements and the law. Introduced by an Executive Finance Committee, John Austin, Bridget Turner, Richard Seisha, Robert Becker, David Larson.
Motion by Supervisor Nutter,
Second.
second by Supervisor Adams. Call the roll.
No discussion?
No discussion?
Good.
Did you want to discuss it? No.
Okay, Richard Anderson,
Yes.
Kevin Adams,
Yes.
Dick Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Whalen,
Yes.
John Austin,
Yes.
Robert Becker.
Yes.
Renee Lyon.
Yes.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Seisha.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
16-0. There didn't need to be any discussion.
Okay, election of Healthcare Center Board of Trustees. We have two here that are up, Bridget Turner's and Dick Miller's. And one of them's gonna have,
Nominations.
and will you do the nominating there? This is recommendation. You wanna read that letter you got first?
I can. This is addressed to Mr. Severson and the Board of Supervisors. At the end of December of 2024, the Healthcare Center has two Trumpealeau County Board of Supervisors whose terms expire for the Healthcare Center Board of Trustees. Dick Miller, County Board Supervisor, Bridget Turner, County Board Supervisor. It is my recommendation that these two individuals succeed themselves on our Healthcare Center Board of Trustees for another term. Thank you, Jerry Dietz, Executive Director. And in going through the records, we're going to have Stacy do a nomination, right?
It's supposed to be one
Well-
at a time each year, but for somehow or another, two came up at the same time, so we're getting it back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, something happened. They were supposed to be staggered. My nomination would be for Dick Miller for a 2-year term and then Bridget Turner for a 3-year term.
Hey,
Do you need a
Yes.
second?
No,
Or no?
no seconds
That's
on
the mo-
nominations.
Okay.
But you have to
yeah,
open up for 3 times on nominations.
okay, you wanna do that again? Nominate
No,
again?
you,
Three?
You say it.
you have to do that. so
Any other-
everybody else
Any other
wants to be
nominations?
Oh, any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Now, somebody can move to close
I
nominations.
move to close nominations.
Okay.
What?
And cast a unanimous
Oh, and
ballot?
cast a unanimous ballot for Dick Miller and Bridget Turner to continue
gotta
their
ask for a
terms
second
on
on
the,
that. And Lori seconded.
Seconded by Laurie Severson. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Same sign? That's carried. Okay, Executive Finance Committee budget update.
Okay, there should be 2 packs on your desk, one for October, one for, and November. And I got 2 Octobers.
You're the one.
I'm the one.
You're the one.
She was short one, and she had to go run a copy, and here it's on my desk. So those are, because I didn't give you one last month for October, and then this one's for November. So there's 2 for you. Got any questions, let us know.
Any correspondence? Did you have any correspondence?
I did, but I didn't want to read it. I just want you to, pardon?
Number B.
There's one more. Mark's sitting here.
Oh,
Oh, yep,
oh,
yep.
DLM proposed fees. I missed
Oh,
that
thank
one.
you, thank you.
DLM proposed fees for 2025.
That was in your packet.
Okay,
Here, Mark waited to the end.
Always.
okay.
I guess as it's written in our ordinance, it has to have county board approval, even though it was approved at our committee level. In September, GEC, which is our UDC contractor, increased their fees, so we adjusted ours accordingly and made some minor changes in some of our other fees just to make them more uniform. So that's kind of what we're proposing. So I think basically what would be approved is this actually fee schedule sheet.
Okay.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Nutter, seconded by Supervisor Wallen. Any comments at all? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
Now, of course.
Correspondence.
I put it on your desk. I didn't think I had to read it. It was just a group of agencies that are thanking the election workers again for doing a good job in November. There's about 20 of them on that.
Okay. Would you like to make? Yeah, I would like her to make, go ahead.
Are you looking at me?
Go ahead, yes.
Okay, sorry. I know we're just about to end the meeting, but I would hope that we would all keep the families of the kids of the mass shooting in Madison today. 3 dead, 7 injured. I'm not sure how many, I think this is like the first time this has happened in Madison, and it was a private school, so these kids are probably really close to each other. So just keep those families in your hearts.
Okay. You had some announcements.
Sure, if Renee, did you want to quick make an announcement?
Yes, please. I just want to remind everybody that we have a great gala event scheduled for January 3rd. It's to honor our elected official retirees, and Kevin Evely from the Sheriff's Department is retiring as well. But we're having a luncheon. It'll be a potluck. So I certainly hope you all can make it. We certainly hope you all can make it. I plan to bring a dish to pass, and I think the public is invited to this as well. At 11:30 until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, and so county employees are invited, county supervisors, and the public. So this could be well attended. So if anybody wants to bring a dish to pass, that would be really appreciated.
I will as well.
Great, thank you.
There's an email sign up in your email box where you can just sign up if you want to donate something or make a dish to pass, whatever it is. And it's really nice because you can see what's kind of needed and what's not. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Mass quantities of.
Yeah, really, if you make a big, what do they call that, thrashing fruit
Oh, yeah.
crowd?
Paul is looking for $10 from every.
Oh, sure, sure.
On
Okay,
your
so
desks
in fact, I
also
think that'd
is
be-
a little accounting of the Sunshine Fund of the county board. We finally got enough money in there so that we could give Doc Sasha his get well card.
I didn't know that we
You're
did.
A-okay now? There's nothing to worry about?
Till tomorrow.
I don't think so. I think
So-
that's just the board. I just want to show this website real quick.
Okay.
If you have any money left tonight, Tammy up here is collecting, okay?
Yeah, Tammy's collecting the $10. Okay.
Just
No,
about
One more.
One more item.
Just one more item. If, up on the screen is a website that's through Edge Graphics, and they have set up wonderful gear for us that if anybody would like to order, I'll send you the link. And they have, our Trempealeau County for all this wonderful apparel that you can order. You could still get it in for Christmas and, Christmas presents. There you go. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you.
So
I hope he's got one.
So, So we all need to look at our emails to get that. I know maybe not all of us do it religiously.
I think we're,
Okay.
hey, we're done.
No, we're not done.
We're going to call item 10. Will you shut up? Let's go to item 10.
No, we haven't done
No, we
mileage.
haven't done item 10 yet.
You weren't playing in your thing.
Yeah.
That was for me to be quiet.
Yeah. Instruct, item 10, I need a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion-
Bridget, okay.
Motion by Supervisor Turner, seconded by Supervisor Becker, to instruct the clerk to pay the mileage and per diem.
Kellen Nelson.
Yes.
David Larson.
Yes.
Jeannie Nutter.
Yes.
Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Bridget Turner.
Yes.
Stacy Klein.
Yes.
Richard Seixas.
Yes.
Lori Severson.
Yes.
Andy Todd.
Yes.
Richard Anderson.
Yes.
Kevin Adams.
Yes.
Dick Miller.
Yes.
Kevin Whalen.
Yes.
John Austin.
Yes.
Robert Becker.
You betcha.
Renee Lyon.
Yes.
16-0.
Okay, now we can adjourn. Go ahead.
How that?
Now we are adjourned.